Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Build Your English, the podcast where we break English into clear, simple steps so you can feel confident using it in your daily life. I'm Jessica, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. In this episode, we're focusing on one of the most important skills you will ever need when learning a language: introducing yourself. Think about how many times you've needed to do this. The first day of school, meeting someone new at work, traveling to a new place, joining a language exchange group online. Even casual conversations at a cafe often start with, "So, tell me about yourself." Your self-introduction is often the first impression you give. It's how you open the door to connection. If you can do it well, you'll feel more confident and the conversation will flow naturally. If you hesitate, stumble, or feel unsure, sometimes the whole interaction feels awkward. That's why today, we're going to build your ability step by step. We'll start with B1 level introductions, which are simple and clear, perfect for everyday situations or for learners who are just starting to feel comfortable in English. Later, we'll move on to B2 level introductions, where we add more detail and personality. At the B1 level, your self-introduction doesn't need to be long. In fact, shorter is better. You only need 3 building blocks: your name, where you are from, and 1 or 2 hobbies or interests. With just these 3, you can create a solid, clear introduction that works in almost any casual situation. Let's look at these parts more closely. First is your name. In English, you can say, "Hi, my name is Anna." Or you can simply say, "Hello, I'm Anna." If you want to sound casual, you might just say, "I'm Anna." These are all perfectly fine. Choose the one that feels natural to you. Next, you can share where you are from. You might say, "I'm from Spain," or "I come from Brazil." If you want to mention your current city, you can say, "I live in Istanbul." Sometimes people use both. For example, "I'm from Turkey, but I live in Berlin." This gives a little more detail without making your introduction too long. Finally, you can add a hobby or an interest. This is often the most personal and interesting part of your introduction because it shows a little of who you are. You might say, "I like reading books," or "I enjoy playing football." You could also say, "My hobby is cooking." At this level, it's best to keep it simple. Mention 1 or 2 hobbies, not a long list. Now, let's put everything together. Here are a few examples of B1 introductions. "Hi, my name is Anna. I'm from Spain. I like reading books and listening to music." Another example: "Hello, I'm David. I come from Brazil. My hobby is playing football. I also enjoy watching movies." Or even shorter: "I'm Sarah. I live in Istanbul. I like cooking." All of these examples are short, clear, and correct. That's exactly what you want at B1. The grammar here is very simple. The present tense, basic subject and verb, nothing complicated. You don't need long explanations yet. The key is to be confident and clear. Some learners worry that such a short introduction might sound boring. But here's the truth. At B1, a short introduction is perfect. It avoids mistakes and gives the other person a chance to ask questions. If you say, "I like reading," the other person might ask, "Oh, what kind of books do you read?" And now you have a conversation. So remember this: at the B1 level, your introduction is not your whole life story. It's just an opening. It's a way to start a connection. Now let's move on to the B2 level. At this stage, your introduction becomes longer, more detailed, and more engaging. You're not just giving basic facts anymore, you're starting to explain yourself and add personality. One way to do this is to mention your job or your studies. You can say, I work as a teacher, or I'm a university student. This immediately gives people more context about your daily life. Another way to expand is to use frequency words when talking about your hobbies. You could say, I usually play football on weekends, or I often go to the gym after work. Adding these small words makes your introduction sound more natural. At the B2 level, you should also start giving reasons for your hobbies. Instead of just saying, I like playing guitar, you can say, I like playing guitar because it helps me relax after work. Or, I enjoy swimming since it keeps me healthy. These small explanations make your introduction more personal. Finally, at B2, you can share your future goals. This makes your introduction memorable and gives people something to connect with. You might say, I'm studying English because I want to work in tourism, or my goal is to become a doctor. You could even say, in the future, I hope to travel to Canada. Let's put these ideas together in a full B2 introduction. Hi, my name is Tom. I'm from Italy and I live in Rome. I work as a graphic designer. In my free time, I usually play guitar because it helps me relax after work. I also enjoy traveling and I try to visit a new city every year. This introduction is longer than the B1 version, but it flows naturally and gives more detail. Here's another example. Hello, I'm Aisha. I come from Egypt and I'm studying English because I want to work in tourism. In my free time, I often go swimming and sometimes I practice yoga. I love meeting new people, so learning English is very exciting for me. This introduction shows both personality and motivation. The grammar at B2 is also a step higher. You might use the present continuous when talking about your studies, like I'm studying English. You'll also use connecting words such as because, since, or so when giving reasons. And you'll include frequency adverbs like usually, often, or sometimes to add natural detail. At this level, your introduction should feel like an invitation. You're not only saying who you are, but you're giving the other person something they can respond to. If you say, I enjoy swimming since it keeps me healthy, the listener might reply, Oh, I swim too. Where do you usually go? And just like that, the conversation begins. My advice is to prepare two versions of your B2 introduction. Create a shorter version of 3 or 4 sentences for casual situations. Then create a longer version of 6 or 7 sentences for interviews or more formal contexts. Practice both until you can deliver them smoothly and you always feel ready. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Build Your English. We've taken a deep dive into self-introductions, from the basics all the way to advanced storytelling. I encourage you to take some time today to write your own self-introduction. Try to create versions at different levels, one short and simple, one with more detail, and one with a little story. Practice them out loud and notice how much more confident you feel the next time you have to introduce yourself. If you found this episode useful, don't forget to follow or subscribe to Build Your English. Share it with a friend who's also learning English. You can even practice introductions together. I'm Jessica, and I'll be back soon with another episode to help you speak English with confidence, step by step. Until then, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep building your English. Take care and happy learning.